Baby, we'll be old. Oh, baby, we'll be old and think of all the stories that we could have told.
It's my office. I share with 3 other people, not interns, but they kind of cycle through here. My computer is ancient, but it works pretty fast. Yes, it's my little cubicle. So we're in the conference room on the 4th floor of the building. It's definitely the best view that we have so far. My office is downstairs and it's kind of in its own little corner. We have weekly meetings up here where we all catch up and help each other out if anybody needs any help, but for the most part I kind of like having my own little space. Basically what I do here, I'm the incoming coordinator for United Planet, and that means that I deal with all the volunteers that want to come to the United States. So United Planet is part of an organization, it's called ICYE, and it's International Cultural Youth Exchange, which means there's 35 other countries that we exchange volunteers with throughout the year. There's a couple of different kinds. There's short-term volunteering and there's long-term. Short-term is a couple weeks and then long-term is 6 months or a year. Most of the incoming volunteers I work with are for long-term, so they're here for 6 months to a year and I help them get visas and find places to volunteer to. We have a whole list that we go down of where they can volunteer to, and it's my job to work between the ICYE offices in their country and with the volunteer sites in ours. Then we kind of connect them to where we think they'd fit best and what they would like, and that's basically my job as incoming coordinator. Another role that I had to do was I was in charge of the Thanksgiving program that we have, and so that was called the Leadership Through Service program, and it involved international students, mostly middle schoolers from around the US who couldn't go home for the holidays. Basically, they came here for a week and I was in charge of them for 10 days. I took them to a couple different volunteer sites around here, which included St. Francis House, which is on Boylston Street, and that was a soup kitchen and a day shelter. It's the biggest one in New England. And that was definitely the kids' favorite. We got to serve food and prepare it. And throughout the rest of the week, we took them to a couple other different sites, basically about leadership sites. We went to the JFK Museum and to MIT, walked around the campus, and then we got to do some fun activities, like go to the aquarium. So these kids stayed with host families, and they had Thanksgiving, a real American Thanksgiving. And so they had 2 days off throughout the 10 days, but I had to be here over Thanksgiving break and make sure that they knew where they were going. So their homestays were about an hour away, which kind of sucked for them and made my job a little bit more stressful because they're in middle school, so they're 14, 15 years old, and I had to make sure that they knew how to get from Revere to downtown Boston. I think the Thanksgiving program was my biggest accomplishment here, but it was definitely the most stressful. So being in charge of that program, I had to set up the whole week, where we're going to go to lunch, where they were having their homestays, where we're going to volunteer at, and coordinating the kids getting here, picking them up, being with them every day. So that just wrapped up, and now there's only a week left, and basically just getting ready for the incoming volunteers from Switzerland and Costa Rica and Honduras to come here and volunteer for the next 6 months or a year. Aside from those two main jobs, I'm also in charge of doing the phones, taking notes occasionally, clean up around the office. We take turns with that, and just everyday office stuff, any little projects that my supervisor Kate gives me. We also do fun things. I mean, we have a book club, and we get a happy hour occasionally, and we're doing a holiday dinner next week. Basically, because I'm part of the incoming department, I make up the incoming department and I report to my supervisor. I don't really interact with the other departments here as much. Mostly for the Thanksgiving program, I have them help out a little bit with transporting the kids occasionally from the airport and helping out with some of the projects. My job mostly consists of emailing the other ICYE contacts around the world and working with the volunteers that are going to be coming here. Not necessarily working with other departments in the office, which include short-term and long-term volunteering and groups, partnerships, marketing. So I help out a little bit with that, but it's not my job mainly to interact with everybody else. Overall, it's been a really good experience. The only thing I would change is the time of the commute. I love the commute around, don't get me wrong, it's a nice place to nap, but it's a long process. It's about an hour and a half. I have to drive from campus to Beverly Depot and take the commuter rail to North Station and then take the Green Line 5 stops to Arlington and then just walk a little bit up to here. But
I mean, overall it's not too bad, it's just, it gets expensive after a while. Other than that, there's not too much to complain about. I mean, I wanted to do this interview across in the street in the park because it's so beautiful, but of course today it rained, so this will have to do. But yeah, I'd rate this a pretty good internship. Definitely a lot of learning experiences and a lot of, not challenges, but it was definitely, it wasn't busy work. It wasn't typical like intern busy work where I have to run out and get coffee or anything like that. It was definitely a full-time position, which you can take that as a good thing or a bad thing, but overall I think it went pretty well.